To empower a fascist party to win is a betrayal of everything he claims to hold in his as an ideal.
If he's still doing third-party shit like 2 months out, we can revisit this. You can pull an "I told you so." I'll cam up. We can fucking get in the same call, and then you will join me in condemning him.
You will join me in condemning him if we get to September 2028, and he's talking about third-party voting. You will condemn him with me, right?
Sure.
Clip it. Archive it.
Clip it. Go for it.
Remind me of this on September 1st, 2028. Ogreboy said he would condemn Hasan if Hasan talk third-party. I need some Jamies in the chat.
Yeah, I'll tell him. I will send him a DM that I'm sure he'll never read, and I'll tell him that that's fucked up. It'll be scathing. Have you ever heard anybody like when someone's running a campaign and they talk about you should be campaigning like you're 10 points behind the whole time and never look back, or anything along that rhetoric?
Yeah, I think that's good. That's good strategy.
So here's what I would ask, and this is from about the most sincere place that I can possibly muster. Wouldn't it be better to treat the build up to 2028 in that same regard, as opposed to like this constant thing of fuck you, we don't need you, you're an enemy, go away, when people have like earnest criticism?
They're saying fuck you to me. It's not earnest criticism to say that you would rather support JD Vance than Gavin Newsom, right?
There was one of the videos that I reacted to this week. There was a person that had, I don't remember the exact wording, but it was a very tepid, very fucking like fair thing. And your response was like, you're an enemy. Fuck you. We don't need you. I hate you.
Hold on, show me what you're talking about.
I would have to go back and I would have to find the fucking clip and like film
sometimes I will not pick up on, sometimes I can be a bit on the spectrum and not pick up on sarcasm, but for the most part, it's mostly in jest here. Somebody really has to push my buttons to like catch a ban or a timeout. We play it pretty loose and that kind of thing. But like, hang on, I feel like we're getting to the crux of what the conversation was supposed to be, because you said that you framed it like it's a criticism, like I'm calling people enemies for criticizing Gavin Newsom. That drives me insane, because that is not an honest accounting of what happened. It's not a criticism to say that you would rather support JD Vance and help him become president if Gavin Newsom becomes the nominee. That's not a criticism. You are announcing your intention to support the Republican if Newsom doesn't win the primary.
No. Suggesting that you're going to support a third party is suggesting that you're going to support a third party.
No, it's not. And I'm sick of people pretending like it's not. Stop it. Okay. Stop doing this.
You can disagree with me. I really don't give a shit.
Then what leverage are you creating by doing that, do you think? Because this is what I'm told, right? It's strategic, right? What you're saying is it's strategic. You're saying that you're saying that you would support. No, hang on. Let's unpack this. If you're saying that I will vote for a third party instead of Gavin Newsom in 2028. That is you
2 years and 9 months out.
Right. That is you trying to.
That's fine.
Right. That's you trying to create leverage, right?
Uh-huh.
What is the leverage? What are you threatening?
Do you think that Biden would
answer that question? Answer that question.
I am.
Uh-huh.
Do you think Biden would have had the same success if not for the concessions that he ended up making?
You're asking me a question. Hang on. What is the leverage that you're creating? What are you threatening?
The goal of getting concessions.
No.
Versus support.
No.
Yes.
No. What
you're threatening? You're threatening support and endorsement in turn for getting concessions. That's what you're threatening.
I am going to keep answering this question. You're asking. You're talking
asking this question.
You are talking about the specific concessions that people are asking for, but they're using leverage to try to get those concessions. What is the leverage?
The endorsement.
But why is that leverage?
Because you should want to have somebody included. That's the why is coalition shit only like a one directional thing for you?
Stop deflecting. Why is that leverage?
It's not a deflection. It's a fair fucking question.
Just answer this question. Why is it leverage to say that you would vote for a third party? If it's just this neutral thing that doesn't help Vance, why should I even give you demands? There's no leverage, right? What is the leverage? No, what is the leverage, Ogre?
It's whether or not you're going to end up voting for that person.
Well, why is that leverage?
Because you should want them to vote for you.
No,
you should be motivating people to vote for you.
That's not what leverage means. Leverage means that you're trying to create a situation where you can hurt or harm someone based on like some agreement that they could make with you, right? Isn't that what leverage means?
But he's irrelevant, and anyone that thinks like him is irrelevant. They're enemies.
Who's irrelevant?
Them.
Who's irrelevant?
Anybody that has that thought process, right?
What? What do you are they irrelevant?
I'm asking you. Stop. Stop. Just say whatever it is. Keep deflecting, say the point you want to make as opposed to playing with this back and forth bullshit.
I don't understand why you don't just answer this question honestly. Like
I've already answered it 7 times.
You haven't. You told me what they're asking for.
Your support.
But why is that leverage? How would that hurt Gavin Newsom?
Because then he gets less votes.
Which means, what does that mean for
JD? He might not win.
What does that mean for JD Vance?
That he has more votes.
So that's material support for Vance, correct?
That's not material support. It's material support for a third party.
You just said that let's just recap. You just said that
let's recap.
If Hasan Piker votes for a third party instead of Gavin Newsom, you said that hurts Gavin Newsom, right?
Uh-huh.
And it helps JD Vance, right?
But then, therefore, shouldn't at least the conversation happen between the two of them
hold on. It helps
try to get him to change his mind?
It helps JD.
If he matters, shouldn't there be energy and effort there to change his mind?
It helps JD Vance, right?
You don't want democracy. Why do you hate democracy?
Come on, bro. This is so
Why
pathetic.
do you hate democracy?
No, you should just own it. Stop doing this thing where you're pretending like it's this neutral action. Stop doing that. Just own it.
It's definitely not a neutral action. 100%, I agree. It would be
so if it's not a neutral action and it hurts Gavin Newsom and it helps JD Vance, what you are actually doing is threatening to help JD Vance, right?
You're threatening to help a third party, yes.
And in doing so, hurt Gavin Newsom, correct?
Sure.
Which in turn helps JD Vance, correct?
Why is it so like one directional towards, we're not supporting someone?
This is just like arithmetic. I don't know why you are walking away from this so
why do you tell people, okay, but why do you tell people, fuck you, go away, help your own party, start a third party, but when they finally go to do it or even hint, which I think is actually been his
start your own party, to be honest. I want you guys to start your own party. Yeah.
Then you should be celebrating what Hasan is doing.
He's not trying to start his own party, though.
In your fucking Cheerios.
He's not starting his own party, bro. That's not what he's doing. He's pretending like he's in the Democratic Party tent, but all he cares about is elevating his own preferred candidates and torpedoing everybody who he disagrees with.
Which is called what? Pushing your politics, right?
It's called helping Republicans, which is what you're trying to avoid.
You don't have to live in that binary.
It's not. It is what it is, bro. You can't sit here and tell me that something hurts Gavin Newsom in a race against Vance, but it doesn't help Vance. How does it hurt? How does it hurt Newsom?
We've started this new fun cycle.
Gavin Newsom?
We've started this new fun cycle where we're already getting back to a new figure, and that you have to be.
Who started this, by the way? Who started this cycle? This news cycle? How did this start?
You obsessively watching and hanging on every fucking word that comes out of Hasan's mouth and then blasting it into a big fit.
What started this discourse? What started it?
Him bullshitting with his friends on a podcast.
And what did he say?
And then you having your Macaulay Culkin freak out moment where
what did he say?
Clasp your face.
I don't understand why you guys just don't own it. Do you think we're stupid or are you just stupid?
The language that went along with it to say that this far out from an election, that to even engage in the sort of conversation is silly, is something I 100% agree with.
Listen, I agree. This is useful because it lets us know who our opposition is. Because if you
agree,
because if you are someone,
you agree, but did you hear what I said?
If you are someone,
I said that this far out, this level of purity testing is fucking silly.
Purity testing?
That's what you're doing.
It's purity testing to say, I don't want to be in a coalition with someone who's threatening to help JD Vance?
No, motherfucker. The idea of before getting ass mad because you're not supporting a candidate before they've even acknowledged that they're going to run, before there's even been a primary.
Do you think that do you think that Hasan should support the Democratic candidate in 2028?
By the time we get there, yes.
Then why would you threaten to help Vance?
It's not a, oh my God.
Why would you do that?
So why 2 years and 9 months out? Why like can you steel man it at least? Come on. You're smart.
The steel man that Hasan is proposing is not too dissimilar from a little known politician named Donald Trump. The steel man position for Hasan in this argument was that he thinks, much like Trump suggested to his voters for 3 election cycles in a row, that if Gavin Newsom wins the presidency, that's it. It's over. I'm mixing Trump and Hasan with my impersonations here. He's saying that's it. It's over. That's it. Which is very abstract, by the way. I don't know what that means. Are we going to lose the country if Gavin Newsom wins? Like, is the socialist push in this country dying? Is that what he means when it's over? Is nuclear war? Like, what are we? Capitalism won definitively, and there's no point in anything. Are we just evolving into nihilism? Like he said, if Gavin Newsom wins, it's over. What does that mean?
So, I would assume, much in the same way that people were afraid when Biden was going to win, which I don't even think I was in that category at the time, but I do kind of see what they were talking about now in hindsight, is that depending on what happens with Biden's election or with Biden's administration, that you could end up in a circumstance where someone worse ends up winning in 2024. And now here we are.
Yeah, but you could use this logic to just not vote in any election.
I mean, but you should always constantly try to push what you think is like the right outcome, right?
I think that there are constructive ways to push for concessions 2.5 years removed from the election. And that's fine. Like, I have primary candidates in races that I'm paying attention to now that I think are not positioned best to win against the Republican. Like, I don't think I think Graham Plattner is very risky. I think Crockett is very risky. But I would never say. But I would never say. No, let's not get sidetracked. I would never say that I would support, Paxton over Crockett or Collins over Plattner. That's insane.
For the number of fucking pieces that you've watched of Graham Plattner, I don't think I've ever
really
seen.
don't want to get fucking siditracked by this.
He has my Plattner.
He has my support. He has my support. He looks like he's going to be the guy, bro. He looks like he is holding a double-digit lead.
This goes into because I don't care. The question that I want to ask you is if you were to say how many pieces that you sat through of Plattner and critiquing all of the things that Plattner does and says, how many Janet Mills like speeches have you put up or interviews have you sat through and watched?
Not many. I don't know.
Not many. Why do you think
one
that
interview.
Is?
I don't really know.
Why do you think that is?
I don't really know much about her. I know that she has an established reputation. I know that she was the governor of Maine, and I know that she, has a long track record in DC politics, or rather, Democratic Party politics. I don't really know much about her.
Wouldn't you be? I mean, okay. Wouldn't you be even remotely curious about like what she has to say about things right now in the moment?
Yeah, like whenever that context, as we kind of get closer to that contest, whenever that primary happens, I'm sure I will dive more into her kind of campaign and her like track record as governor. I know that her track record as governor is a mixed bag. I know that she's done some progressive things and some things that are kind of more in line with like what you would call like establishment politics. That's just like the cursory sort of summaries that I did look into her like a little bit. I looked into her approval rating in the state of Maine. I looked into some of the laws that she signed. I know that she, for example, like publicly, like right to Trump's face, told him, we'll see you in court over a massively unpopular issue, I might add, trans kids in sports. Are you going to give her credit for that? Like, I keep hearing from people
that's great.
I keep hearing from people like Hasan that Democrats would murder trans people if it got them more votes. But she told Trump to his face, we'll see you in court because I'm going to fight you on banning trans girls in sports. And then she won, by the way. Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
But that's a good example right there. You've never been able to adequately just take the time, educate people singularly on the candidates that you advocate for. Instead, the entire lens has to be.
Chad, is that true?
I feel like
That's not true. We dive into candidates all the time. What the fuck are you talking about, bro? We'll dive into long form content. Is the example.
Even to talk about Mills, you have to pause and talk about Hasan. I wasn't talking about Hasan. Fuck Hasan. Who gives a shit about Hasan?
Or weren't we just talking about Hasan, talking about, like helping Vance win? I thought that's what you wanted to talk about today.
But I asked you, for the number of pieces that you've sat through for Plattner, you don't seem to ever put like the current person that is Janet Mills on the screen. You'll look up like a statistic, but you don't really try to sell, like, listen to this dynamic, vibrant person and their opinions on this moment, and put their current interviews on camera in front of your audience. It just seems weird.
Because here's what, sometimes in politics, the decisions are so straightforward in my mind, for me, that the whole thing becomes very simplified. So here's what I do know about the Senate primary race in Maine. There's only two people that are competitive right now, Janet Mills and Graham Plattner. Here's just something else that I know. Graham Plattner had a literal Nazi tattoo for like 2 decades. And then there were people that were giving their testimony that from their experience, he for sure knew that it was a Nazi tattoo. And then he pretended that he got like an oopsie Nazi tattoo and like waited until the campaign to get the tattoo covered up. Like, there's just so much already about his judgment that I find disqualifying. And so for me, the calculation is like, I don't really need to spend that much time on Mills, because like, she's going to be the person. Like, she does not have a Nazi tattoo that I'm aware of. She has faced vetting, opposition research vetting. She has, a long history in politics. She's a Democrat with a mixed record of progressive and, moderated policies. So to me, it's like, I don't really feel like a sense of urgency to deep dive into her. If I lived in Maine, maybe that would be different.
But so again, right? In essence, you spend more time tearing down than you do building up the person that you believe in.
I don't think that's true. I spend a lot of time, for example, talking about, like, I really like Tallarico. My chat probably cringes every time I talk about him now, because I fucking glaze him. I think he should run for president.
You know who else likes Tallarico?
Asmongold?
No, Emma Vigeland.
Israel?
Emma Vigeland.
Nice.
Yeah.
Same page. Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, yeah. No, look, I'm never going to agree that you have to be that rigid, that far out, that even the suggestion that you won't blindly vote for someone.
Why would you ever
this far away from the election?
Why would you ever threaten to help JD Vance?
It's not a threat to help Vance.
I'm not going to play this fucking game with you. It very obviously is. It very obviously is threatening to help JD Vance. Like, do you think that the current Republican Party are a fascist movement?
Sure.
Do you think that the Democratic Party are a fascist movement?
No.
Okay. Why would you ever in a million years threaten to give a fascist movement control of the military? Why would you ever do that?
I mean, it's gonna... Okay, so this is actually really good. First of all, are the Republicans going to stay out of power forever?
Probably not.
Probably not, right?
Yeah.
Now, the idea that they're ever going to normalize, become more rational, more reasonable, if we're honest, it's probably not going to happen, right? They're going to keep finding... I would suggest the reality is they're going to keep finding some sort of wackadoo that's going to keep doing like Trumpian style shit to try to drive out voters, because they would rather do that and do culture war shit than actually govern. Is that fair?
So that might happen. That might be likely to happen, but I have not ruled out the possibility that they run a candidate that's kind of quote unquote more normal. When I say normal, I mean someone where you don't worry about them like ending democracy. And so like with Vance, I do worry about him ending democracy. With Rubio, maybe not so much. I wouldn't like him as president, and I would do everything I could to block him from winning. But if he was elected, I would not have the same sense of like horror and fear about the future of the country if someone like JD Vance wins. So I actually don't think that it makes a lot of sense right now to assume anything. Like, I don't assume that the Republican Party and the voters are just gonna stay super Trumpy. It could be worse, it could be better, it could be the same, but I don't make any assumptions. When I look back at history, well, especially like the last like 75 years, we've had massive swings, like massive swings. We went from LBJ dominating in 1964 against Goldwater to Nixon just utterly destroying Humphrey just 4 years later. We went from Bush to Obama. I mean, we see seismic shifts all the time. And so I'm not resigned to this idea that they're going to stay super Trumpy.
Okay. But in the modern era, Obama and Biden both were like, what are you going to do to get past Republican obstruction? And they both basically suggested that the fever was going to break, right?
Actually, Obama came out in favor of reforming or ending the filibuster. I found out just recently.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Biden did not.
I was skimming through that like yesterday, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I'm not talking about the filibuster. I mean, the idea.
Hang on. How did you do this? How did you do this? You weaseled out of my question. Why would you ever threaten to help a fascist party win control of the military?
The idea is that eventually they're going to get control of the military anyway.
You could use that logic to not participate in electoral politics if that's what you think. If you really think that...
No, look. I'll agree with you. At the end of the day, everyone should vote. Like, their vote matters. Like, their vote is the one vote that will make the difference between like the worst outcome and the best outcome. I get all that shit. I agree with it. But that's not the reality that we live in. You have to motivate people to come out to the polls, period, every time. So the idea being, I would assume I'm going to answer your question. The idea being, I would assume, is to try to this early out when he does express some sort of displeasure. The idea is to try to get him on board and try to get the best out of Newsom possible.
No.
So that when he does run, he has the ability to go for fucking 2 cycles as opposed to just one, where he ends up not pulling anything off, and then people get they disengage, they don't give a fuck, and then you have 2024 all over again. That's why this early, you should try to be aloof. You should try to be a little hard to get.
If you put yourself in the shoes of, like, let's say the DNC, which is a word that gets thrown around way too much, but the actual party apparatus, the one that is concerned with, and the DCCC, like the ones that are concerned with actually electing Democrats to national seats, like the House of Representatives, Senate, the presidency. If you're the DNC and you're looking like, okay, we have this much money to spend, and we got to think about broader strategy. And if you're a strategist working for the individual Democratic Party campaigns in competitive districts, like, of course, if you're like a D+40, then obviously like going on Hasan's stream makes a lot of sense there. But if you're someone who is in a decision-making process of like, who can we target? Like, who should we go after? Who are gettable voters? Why would they spend any time, money, or effort courting someone like Hasan, who said he would rather help Vance than like a center-left, decently fucking progressive California governor? Like, how is that a gettable vote? Who is going to pass this purity test, bro?
So if you don't even engage, you'll never find out, though, right?
As soon as you say that, as soon as you show your whole ass like that, it tells me everything I need to know. That is a waste of time. We would be... They would get.
This is very simplistic. All he has to do is just not do it. They would get
way more value targeting center left or centrist type voters than going after anyone who is insane enough to suggest that they would help a fascist party win control of the military.
That's your framing. I just don't agree.
Framing. You already told me that the leverage point is that it would hurt Newsom. You already admitted that, but for whatever reason, you stopped short of logically following that to its logical conclusion, which is that you help Vance. That's not
democracy at that point.
You help
That's
Vance.
not democracy at that point.
It's math. You can't escape the math. It's just math, bro. It's just math. That's it.
Then go down to your local Walmart, go to the arts and crafts section, make yourself up a nice ballot, put glitter on it and shit. Put Gavin as the only name on the ballot. Send that shit in now. Send it to his office and tell him you're already giving him your vote.
Why are you doing this?
Tell him you're already giving him your vote and you don't even want to ask him of anything.
This is way
You're not going to try to nudge him at all.
This is more dishonest. You can nudge people, Ogre, without telling the world and the country that you would support a fascist party over
That's
Gavin
not
Newsom.
Support for a fascist party.
Yes, it is.
No,
yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Does it hurt Newsom if Hasan votes third party and tells his
Does it hurt any public servant if they don't listen to the public?
Does it hurt Newsom if Hasan tells his audience that they should vote third party and he's going to vote third party? Does it hurt Newsom?
Does it hurt a public servant
Answer
if they
that
don't listen to the public?
You already answered that question. You already answered that question. You already answered that question. The answer is yes, which necessarily means it helps Vance. Why don't you own it, bro? Just own it. Like, do you think we are stupid?
Why doesn't trying to hone Vance into the best, not Vance, fucking Newsom? Why doesn't trying to hone Newsom into the best candidate that he can be? Why is that a hindrance as opposed to assistance?
It's not, but he is not going to become a better candidate by pandering to fucking idiots like Hasan.
Okay.
Who would make such a ridiculous demand. He's not going to do it. I mean, there's nobody on like the hopeful list. When I look at it, it's like Mark Kelly. Do we really think that Hasan's going to, you know, stump for Mark Kelly and not play these stupid fucking games? Kamala Harris. Do we really think he's not going to play this stupid fucking Pete Buttigieg, JB Pritzker, Josh Shapiro? He's going to do it to everyone but AOC. And even I'm not even 100% sure that AOC is going to pass his purity test. So why would any Democratic politician waste any time trying to get his vote, bro? Why would they do that ever?
Why would you not want to have a conversation with someone like him, even if it is in your framework to turn around and clown on him?
Brother, I really do hope.
That was your words, right?
I really do hope that Newsom sits down and has a conversation with Hasan. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I would too.
Love to see that.
God, that would make me so mad because I know he would just own Hasan and definitely not have a sort of open dialogue that would help a lot of people.
You can underestimate Newsom at your own peril, but if you're not familiar with his game rhetorically, you will find out that guy is a fucking surgeon. He is sharp. That guy is not someone who is a lightweight in a debate type setting. He will unleash his power, and people will see like how capable he is in a conversation.
Wouldn't that be good for him though?
In my opinion, it would be, but I actually do understand. Like, don't you understand that I think the reason why Gavin Newsom has not gone on Hasan Piker's stream is because he thinks that Hasan Piker is more toxic to the Democratic Party than Steve Bannon or Ben Shapiro. That tells you everything you need to know about how his team and maybe him personally. I don't know how much Newsom knows about Hasan personally, but his team have obviously calculated that Hasan Piker is more toxic to his chances of winning than Ben Shapiro. That's how bad it is.
I agree with you, but not for the reasons that you think. Because ultimately, I think for somebody like Newsom,
like dog walk Hasan, right?
No, actually, if anything, I think there's a whole spectrum of the internet for as much time as you spend arguing and yelling at quote unquote lefties that I don't think you understand. There's a whole swath of the left that willingly and gleefully every day do to Hasan what you think Hasan is doing to AOC and fucking Mamdani.
Yeah, those 100%. Those are like the top 1% tankies.
There's people that call me a fucking liberal Zionist. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
But you in turn say that I want more dead Palestinian babies to wear as ornamentation or some gross fucking shit. Like
you're the one that cynically weaponizes them and fucking gotcha moments on the internet. You're the one doing that. You're the one doing that. But and if you're going to try to out-moralize based on Gaza, you don't win that fight with USAID. You just don't. It's just orders of magnitude worse.
Okay, we can get to that in a little bit if you want.
I thought we wanted to get to your thing where you were like, you wanted to unpack something that was, I had a pinned tweet and you wanted to talk about like FDR or whatever.
Okay, so what was the last thing about the, rewind like 30 seconds. Because as soon as you started going down all that other shit.
Newsom Hasan live stream.
Ultimately, I think he would end up being more conciliatory towards Newsom. I don't think he would fucking try to debate lord him, and I don't think he would turn around and try to turn it into marketplace of ideas and all that sort of shit. I think what he would end up doing is just try to push him a little bit on things related to homelessness, which before you even start down that road, I already know everything you're going to say, so don't bother. I don't even want to argue that aspect of it. I think he would try to get him some shit on homelessness, get him some shit on shit related to healthcare in general. Newsom would end up saying something that's like reasonably acceptable, and then that would probably be the end of the conversation. Maybe. It's not going to be some sort of overly contentious shouting match or whatever. It's not going to be a like debate lording, and then it would move on, and he would end up probably maybe not endorsing or being overly.
Why would you not endorse?
Yeah,
Why would you not endorse? Why would you not endorse? That's crazy. Why?
I think he would end up speaking a hell of a lot more favorably after a conversation, though. Whether or not he ends up endorsing, I don't know.
But you just told me that the Republican Party are fascists.
If he ends up holding true to a couple of the things that Hasan might point out during the course of that, he probably would endorse him.
No, you just told me that the Republican Party are fascists, right?
Okay.
I just need to know how your brain works. And I mean this with all sincerity. When you say fascism, the threat of fascism in America, what does that look like for you? Play out the worst. Play out the worst case scenario. If a fascist takeover took place,
track that we're the worst case scenario.
Yeah, what does it look like when we get there? You know, Chancellor Gavin, Chancellor JD Vance is.
You just did the same thing I did like 5 minutes ago. That's
Chancellor
funny.
JD Vance is given total power. They dissolve the Congress. You know, what does that look like? Like, what are the consequences of that?
I don't even necessarily think that would realistically happen, because there's a lot of people that would give up with like lobbying and shit like that. The way that our economy and where so many people like derive power from and shit, I don't think we would ever hit that point.
Okay, but what would it look like? I want you to give me particulars.
It's not great. It's not great. I don't even feel like this.
But what does that mean? What does that mean?
Nightmare fuel. Fucking the worst thing.
Like
hell
what?
on earth.
Like what?
The fire pits of apocalypse. What do you want?
Give me just 3 specific examples of things that you think would be like analogous to previous fascist movements that would happen in America.
Well, let's see. Trump promised internment camps for homeless people. He was talking about mass deportations, millions of people a year.
No, I'm talking about what, like the worst case scenario, if the fascist movement is complete and they end American democracy. Like, give me 3 things that could happen that would be you could compare with Mussolini and Hitler.
At that point, literally anything. I don't understand why it's so necessary.
Why don't you just give me 3 things, man?
I just said internment camps.
All right, there you go. And who gets thrown in the internment camps?
Well, basically anybody under every ethnicity, minority, fucking anybody under a certain poverty line.
Political dissidents, artists, political commentators, academia professors, you know, these kinds of. Okay, that's 1, and 2 more. Let's get 2 more, right? Would fascist leader JD Vance potentially invade and annex other countries?
Sure.
Okay. Would this fascist movement would they establish like a permanent outgroup minority group and basically like sanction the public to do violence against a particular like set of like minority groups?
Sure.
So why would you ever not endorse
because at that point,
the Democratic candidate in 2028, bro?
To get the best out. Because at that point, trying to work within the party to get the best outcomes is irrelevant.
You think
if you live in that framing, if you live in that fear, then the idea of trying to nudge a future candidate to do better so that they in turn don't have the pendulum swing back in the other direction and lose power to somebody that would be even worse than Vance. At that point, it's over. It's over. Like, and actually, in that extent, he was completely right.
Listen, I don't.
How is it nuts? Explain to me how it's nuts.
Because there's no way that you actually believe that the Republican Party are fascists. There's just no way you actually believe that, because you would never endorse something so risky as helping Vance win the presidency. Why are you this
hyperbolic? 3 years out.
Have you fucking seen what's going on in this country over the last fucking year? Are you not alarmed at what you're seeing? Are you not freaked out? What else would need to happen, man? Like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm fucking freaked out when I see this administration. I'm freaked out when I look at how the Republican Party is acquiescing to the whims of a fucking mad king. I'm watching him, really toe the line in terms of like, defying the courts. I'm seeing him, do explicit regime change. We're just doing like explicit out in the open regime change now. And yes, I do think about the USAID cuts and the total body count that is amassed over the last year and a half. It's like, 600 to 700,000 dead people because Donald Trump won an election. And so I guess where I get flustered is because I don't understand how in the face of all that, and then if you're also telling me that you think like the entire Republican Party are a fascist movement and the threat of American fascism in the modern era is real, I don't understand how you could ever endorse a policy that is so risky in the face of all that. Like to say that if it's Newsom, I would not support Newsom in the face of that, all of that. I don't know how to reconcile these things. They don't make sense. Like your urgency doesn't match the what you're saying is happening.
I'll just say this one more time. This far out from the election, trying to basically have the ability to lean on somebody so that they are better able to win against Vance isn't a bad thing.
Why can't you? But why can't you create leverage by saying
you're going to give in early?
Listen, why can't you create leverage against someone like Newsom by saying, if Newsom doesn't come my way on this or that policy issue, I will throw my support behind a different primary candidate? Why don't you use that as leverage instead of threatening to help what you call a fascist party?
So we're back to liberal tone policing.
Why don't you answer that question? Like, why are you using the threat of helping fascists win an election rather than helping a different primary candidate?
Because it wasn't talking about, the framing of the question wasn't even about primaries. It was about what would you do in the final, the general.
But you're saying he responded to the question the way he did to put pressure on Newsom to like change his policies, right?
Yeah.
So why not threaten to help one of Newsom's primary opponents instead?
Because the way that the question was asked was it was already in the general.
You might be too stupid to have this conversation.
You wound me, sir.
I'm dead serious, bro. Because you're not following like this basic train of thought. The leverage that Hasan is trying to create right now is the threat of helping Vance win. He could create leverage right now, answering this question about a hypothetical. You could just avoid the question and say, you know what, like, I personally don't even want to talk about the hypothetical because I want to, I would rather support other primary candidates over Newsom.
Okay,
like he could have done that without saying, I'll help Vance win.
So in order to still try to come up with something where you're saying that Hasan is a big dummy, which sure, let's go with that. Actually, most times I would agree he's a fucking dumbass. But in the efforts to try to say that he's still a big dummy, even after talking about the idea of like, this is still supposed to be a democracy, you still should try to get the best you can out of your representation, right? You're still like, well, why didn't he at least do it in this other way that I would have found personally more acceptable? Well, that's the point. He's him and you're you. It is what it is. I can't control that. Same way as I can't fucking control you.
What a non-statement. What a non-statement. Like if you use, why don't you use that logic with me where it's like, well, you're a different human being and you have different ideas and Because you're the person that wants to punch left all day, right? I'm not the one who is threatening to help a fascist party win control of the military. Okay. You're the guy you're defending is doing that. I'm not doing that.
Then fine. Like then voting needs to be completely restructured and it's just a blue button and a red button every 4 years. Then that's what it should turn into because that's what you want to see happen. What I want and what I don't want, it doesn't matter. You want to so far remove what you,
it doesn't matter what I want.
Talk about the things
I don't
you
mind
want.
Ranked choice voting. I don't mind, but it doesn't seem that that's likely to happen. The only way that happens, I don't know if the Congress can mandate that. They're limited in how much they can regulate election systems at the state level. But what I want in terms of how the system is devised for doing democratic elections, it doesn't matter. It is the way that it is, and we do live in a two-party.
Stop debate lording and have more conversations where you say what you want, as opposed to trying to come up with.
I'm not debate lording. I am asking you to help me understand a strategy of saying that you would help a fascist party win the presidency over voting for a center-left politician.
Because I don't agree with your fucking framing, especially this far out from the fucking election. Period.
That's framing, nothing in my framing is incorrect. If you are threatening to hurt Gavin Newsom, you are definitionally, necessarily threatening to help Vance win. That's what it is. You can try to sidestep that all you want.
If you could push legislation and actually get it passed, would you outlaw third parties?
No.
Why?
Because I'm a fucking liberal, bro. Why do you think?
Okay, so the existence of third parties isn't bad?
No, they're not bad. No.
So why voting for a third party? Why is that something that's if you
people have the freedom to make political parties? That doesn't mean that voters who choose to vote for them made a good decision. If I could press a button, I might be
allowed to make bad decisions in the country.
What are you asking me right now, bro? Are you allowed to make bad decisions? So you're saying it's a bad decision then, right? To vote third party?
Sure.
Okay. So why would you ever stick up for Hasan saying he would vote third party against Vance?
I'm going to go back to my question. Do you think third parties should be outlawed?
No.
Okay. Then what? Then support for a third party, should that be outlawed?
No.
Okay. Well, then what's the...
Can you think of things that are not outlawed but are bad?
Sure, lots of things.
If I ate my own shit, would that be like something that you find
given some of the
defensible?
Statements you've made in the last 2 weeks, I don't think that's a good hypothetical for you.
If I ate my own poo, if I literally ate my own poo, and I asked you,
this is not. What do you think about? What do you think about? Pick a different hypothetical, please, for the love of God.
If I drank my own pee,
please don't do that.
If I drank my own piss,
still not great.
And then I asked you, how do you feel about that? Do you think this was a good decision? Would you say, well, it's not outlawed?
You're being so silly right now.
No, you are not following like really
I'll turn around and say,
logical arguments. You're just getting lost.
If the suggestion is, in your opinion, that supporting a third party is ultimately going to do something that is going to bring about Nazi Holocaust 2.0 in America, then you should want to make sure that those third parties don't exist anymore, right?
That's not, no, because I am a liberal. I don't ban political parties. That's what you guys do. You guys want to ban political parties. You guys are the ones that romanticize and lionize Vladimir Lenin and the Vanguard Party, bro. I'm not the one doing that, okay? If I could snap
don't say you guys. Don't. You're talking to me, not half of lefty Twitter.
You don't like Lenin? You don't like Vladimir Lenin?
My only concern is about right now.
Do you like Vladimir Lenin?
He's got some quotes that were cool, but beyond that, I don't really give a shit.
If you had to say, would you have a positive or negative opinion of Vladimir Lenin?
I've never taken the time to fucking even read about him for the most part.
Okay.
I think I've seen 2 Twitter posts that had like some one-liners about shit that he's written that in a vacuum they sound cool, but outside of that, no, I'm not the quote unquote like hammer and sickle online lefty.
Let me ask you a hypothetical.
Sure. But before we get too far down this, I do want to the last thing we have to talk about, I want to talk about your fucking video that you pinned.
I'll just ask you this question. We can get to that.
Sure.
How would you feel if AOC wins the nomination in 2028 and then all of the moderates and liberals, like, we'll say like 3/5 of the party, I don't know what the math is right now. What if they said, we find this unacceptable. We are going to form a coalition with JD Vance to stop AOC from winning. Would you say that would be good or bad or neutral?
I think it was fucking terrible, but I'm not going to put it on a content creator when they fucking voice their opinion.
So if Brian Tyler Cohen,
why don't you go with something that actually happened?
The day after AOC wins,
Chris Matthews, before he even had the chance to win,
he got fired, and he got fired for that. I already know what you're talking about. And that was a silly thing that he said. That was stupid. He got fired. It is what it is. But if the day after AOC secures the day after AOC secures the nomination for the Democratic Party, let's say Brian Tyler Cohen and Destiny and Loner Box and all of us, we announce that we would rather form a coalition with MAGA and JD Vance. Like, what would you say?
That's really fucking dumb. Sure.
Okay. That is what Hasan is threatening to do. You guys just pretend like that's not what it is. You guys just pretend like, well, he's not supporting Vance. He's supporting a third party. But you know what you're doing. You know that it hurts Gavin Newsom. There is no difference between doing what Brian Tyler Cohen and the other people would do in this spot and what Hasan is suggesting. So why do you have such a problem
hold on.
understanding why people have a fucking problem with it, bro?
No, if you want to push this, there is a difference there, because ultimately you would be ultimately betraying so many different things that you have consistently been arguing for or arguing against for literally years now.
That's what I think Hasan is doing. It's incoherent. It doesn't make sense. To empower a fascist party, to win is a betrayal of everything he claims to hold in his as an ideal.
If he's still doing third party shit like 2 months out, we can revisit this. You can pull an "I told you so." I'll cam up. We can fucking get in the same call, and then you can just join me in condemning him.
You will join me in condemning him. You will join me in condemning him if we get to September 2028, and he's talking about third party voting. You will condemn him with me, right?
Sure.
Clip it, archive it.
Clip it, go for it.
Remind me of this on September 1st, 2028. Ogreboy said he would condemn Hasan if Hasan talk third party. I need some Jamies in the chat.
Yeah, I'll tell him. I will send him a DM that I'm sure he'll never read, and I'll tell him that that's fucked up. It'll be scathing.
Okay. I think you should go beyond a scathing DM. I think at that point you should like view him as straight up just an enemy of the American Republic. But okay.
But ultimately, I still wouldn't do that anyway. Ask me why.
Wouldn't do what?
Ask me why. Ask me why.
Why?
Let's see. What was the exact words? Hold on. What was it? If a fucking Twitch streamer is seriously influencing your 2024 decision, there is a 0% chance that you take politics seriously in the slightest. Holy shit, LOL. Does that sound familiar?
Uh-huh. What are we doing here? Are we playing games? I just told you yes. I said that shit.
I didn't hear you.
I said that shit.
You must have been still chewing on your beta blocker, and the noise gate kept me from hearing it.
These are mints, bro. You think you chew on beta blockers?
I don't know. I'm too busy in the other direction, pumping my body filled with caffeine, so I don't know what it's like to try to take something to calm down.
That's crazy to me that you say that you would condemn Hasan if he was threatening to vote third party in September of 2028, but you think it's
no. I would tell him he's a fucking idiot. Right now. I would tell him that he's fucked up.
Why? Why would he be fucked up? Why is that bad? It's neutral, right? Like it doesn't help Vance, right? Why is that bad?
The entire thing that I've been saying this whole time is that this far out is different from like 2 months beforehand. So it should be obvious as to why it's bad. Why do you even have to ask that question?
Well, I think that if you are someone like Hasan with a massive audience, what happens when you say, I would probably vote Vance in a 2028 hypothetical, is that is him creating a permission structure in advance to vote third party if the candidate is not sufficiently progressive or lefty. Surely you would agree with that, right? Like, do you think that there would be people in his audience that might take his example?
They're going to only take the exact moment from that podcast and not listen to anything else he ends up saying between now and 2028.
Okay, we can move past this. I don't know how to.
That's a fair question. Why can't you answer the question?
I zoned out, to be honest with you. What did you ask?
Oh my God.
I'm not kidding. I'm starting to, like, my brain just kind of starts to slow down.
You're asking me the question about creating permissions. You're asking the question about creating permission structures now with what he said now.
Yeah.
And that there's no possibility that they're not going to listen to anything else he says between now and 2028.
I think that it is completely unacceptable for anybody with a position of influence who is even vaguely on the left wing to ever suggest, hint, even remotely suggest that it would be acceptable in 2028 to help Republicans win. I think that signals, I think that the usefulness of somebody saying that is it signals very clearly to the Democratic Party and to people like me that we should never, ever try to cater to that kind of person. Ever try to negotiate with that person. Ever. So
you can't ever have, so holding up to criticism isn't the strong suit of the DNC? Is that what you're saying?
The value that you could possibly extract by catering to someone who would be prepared to help fascists win control of the military is so minuscule compared to the risk of spending a lot of time catering to them and trying to court them. And for what? Like, you can't rely on these people to show up. Like, even if Gavin Newsom agreed to every single one of their demands, let's say there's like 5 demands, and he agreed to all 5 demands, how the fuck would I feel confident that these people would actually follow through and vote for Newsom? Like, why would I?
Didn't you
like,
say
why
earlier,
would I?
Didn't you say earlier in this stream something to the, or maybe I'm blending what I was watching last night on stream. Didn't you say you would like to see a progressive get into office only because then, like, something along the lines of like it would shut the lefties up, or it would reset the scales, or a lot of the animosity, blah blah blah?
That was today. You were watching my stream today. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably had it on while I was making breakfast.
Probably. Probably.
Yeah, because I was wanting to see if you were streaming or not. What do you mean? How was I going to know if I was even going to join the fucking call and talk to you if I didn't know if you were on?
I said that 2016 seems to have done permanent damage to Democratic Party politics because there's so much resentment from the populist left who spend every day pushing this narrative that the establishment blocks them from power because they hate homeless people and want to murder trans people. If it got them more votes, like literally saying crazy shit like that. And so I do think that having like a more progressive candidate win that might like tone that down a little bit, like a little bit. But
doesn't that conflict with what you just said then about, like, if you were to let's say 2.5 out of the 5 things that might be asks, and that even if you did that, they would never do anything. Doesn't what you just said conflict with the idea that there would be no pleasing somebody, et cetera, et cetera?
No.
How?
Ask me that again.
So
what did you ask me? Hold on.
We have 2 ideas. I don't know why I'm holding my hands up because you can't fucking see me. We have 2 ideas. One of them is you should never, ever, ever ... because there's no pleasing these people. So why should you ever talk to them? Why should you ever interact with them, deal with them, listen to their demands, listen to their requests?
The difference here
and
is...
then on the other hand is you would like to see someone that they would be okay with make it at least one time into the presidency.
These are different things.
So that they would shut the fuck up.
They're different things. They're different. What, on the one hand, we're talking about potentially negotiating concessions from a more center left candidate versus a more progressive / Demsoc candidate. Like a different conversation. Not the same thing.
Huh. Okay. Let's see.
Do you think it's good behavior to be really careless about like the stuff that you talk about with an enormous platform?
See, your and my definition of careless aren't going to match, so this isn't even worth talking about.
Well, say for example, claiming that Gavin Newsom vetoed single payer in California.
Yeah, that's a mistake on his behalf. I've tried to look into it myself and I don't see it. I think there was a miscommunication between...
Miscommunication?
No, I think there's a misconception about something that the previous governor had done versus Gavin has like 12 or 15 different health related bills that he's vetoed. It's like it's a double-digit number. And I think people are probably misunderstanding the reality of it. Sure,
California.
It's definitely not something. It's definitely not something they should keep perpetuating. No,
we don't have single payer in California. That's true. But do you understand that California like nearly has universal coverage? We have the highest rate of healthcare coverage in the entire country. We're literally literally almost at like everybody being covered. And so, like, I feel like that is something that should probably be focused on as like a positive thing that he's done as governor. And yet I've heard Cenk make the claim. I've heard Kyle Kulinski make the claim. I've heard the Bituation Room person. What's her name again?
Fiorentini.
She made the claim. Hasan made that claim.
Hers was more tailored, though, to be fair.
She didn't technically say
Fiorentini. She didn't technically say that he vetoed, but
she was referencing
that he ran on and still hasn't delivered.
No,
which is still iffy.
No, I think she was repeating what she heard these other big creators say. She just didn't flesh it out as much. She was getting at the same thing. Sure. I think she does think that he vetoed single payer. That's just wrong. And yet all of these enormous creators are telling their collective massive audience that Gavin Newsom vetoed single payer in California. I find that incomprehensibly irresponsible. Like, take some fucking pride in your work. What are you doing? You hear a claim and you don't fact check it? Motherfucker, do you know how many times I fact check things every fucking day? Like 50 times a day, and I'm not even kidding. Do they ever fact check claims, or do they just hear one of their friends say something and just repeat it?
I mean, when it comes to other topics, you do the same thing. So this isn't really a good area to stay in.
Nobody gets information perfectly. So like, I do make mistakes from time to time, but I do not hesitate to relay to people, oh, I was wrong about that thing. I'm reading something here and it says that I was wrong.
So the only thing that we could have done about Gaza was Mike Johnson holding a floor vote in the House. That whole line. What? That's come on.
What are you talking about?
What was your thing that you were defending ContraPoints on over and over again that you've said numerous times? And that when pushed, you would say things like, well, I need to talk to Loner about that because he's more the expert when it comes to things related to Gaza and specifically this example.
Oh my goodness, a little humility. That would be nice. If creators had some humility, and if they don't know something, they say they don't know, or take some time to look it up. I think humility is good, right?
So you just got done saying referring to a friend, and I point out an example where you're immediately referring to a friend and not even necessarily a subject matter expert, and then you also perpetuating something that's not entirely true. I still have no fucking idea what you're talking about. I still have no idea. When it came to ContraPoints' claims about nothing could be done in Gaza, you said what?
Brother Bear Bjorn just raided with 5 douchebags.
Angia just popped off. What did you just say? ContraPoints what now?
When it came to you defending ContraPoints, and you came up with a scenario that the only way that anything could have been done to halt weapons to Gaza was going to end up being what?
In order to halt like all support to Gaza, you would have needed a bill from Congress.
Not true.
Are you going to talk about the Leahy laws?
And the Foreign Assistance Act, yes.
Okay, well, listen, that's another thing I'm not an expert on, but Pisco, the lawyer, thinks that it's a dubious claim to invoke the Leahy laws to justify unilateral.
He's never looked into it. He's admitted he's never looked into it.
Okay, well, are you like a big, super big expert person on Leahy laws stuff?
That's one of the things that I've listened to people that left Biden's State Department saying that it was a big mistake and that they should have enacted Foreign Assistance Act specifically. Yes.
Okay, I have looked into this very, very briefly, and so I would not presume to dive into the details of like why the Leahy laws like. Basically, Chad,
I don't even want you to do it.
The idea here is that, you know,
this is sincere.
As opposed to Donald Trump, who got impeached the first time because he unilaterally stopped $200 million that was apportioned by Congress to go to Ukraine. And he did it for political reasons. That got him in trouble because you're not allowed to do that. Like, the Congress controls the purse and he doesn't really get to make those kinds of decisions, versus they're saying that Joe Biden could have unilaterally halted all aid to Israel, invoking what's called the Leahy laws, which is basically, I think, like this idea that it's illegal to send assistance to a country that is like doing war crimes or something like that. I don't know much about the Leahy laws. I have spoken with like a couple people who have like more familiarity with the law, one of them being Pisco. He seems to think that it's quite dubious to suggest that you can just do that unilaterally. But yeah.
I'm being as good faith as I possibly can be. I don't expect you to read it. I just want to put the page on the screen. If you go to Google, you type in Huffington Post, Trump, Biden, Gaza. One of the first the headlines is going to be Biden. Hold on, because I brought this up myself several times. I just want to put the headline in front of your audience.
Biden discussed potential Israeli war crimes in Gaza. It does look like it's not paywalled. In the final weeks of his administration, President
put it on the screen.
I'm reading.
Put it on the screen.
Fuck off. Fuck you. I'm reading it. Don't tell me to push it on my screen. Who cares?
I don't want you to have to read it because it's a lengthy article. I just want to talk about it.
I just read the headline, you fucking clown. I just read it out loud. I said the headline. Are you listening? Jesus.
The overall timeline that this paints is that they knew about war crimes that were occurring in December of 2023. That the administration, specifically the State Department, was even concerned about whether or not they needed to lawyer up because they were helping facilitate war crimes.
Okay.
It goes on to talk about that USAID was essentially trying to report back to us that they were denying our aid at the border, and that's something that should have made the Foreign Assistance Act immediately kick in, that there was a law on the books that could have been done exclusively through the State Department that could have been used as leverage to immediately halt all weapons to Gaza.
Okay.
And it was this story, and Huffington Post also reported on it.
Okay.
They're not Huffington Post, Reuters. This built off of a Reuters story that also came out at the beginning of November.
Okay.
So I'm just saying there's leverage. There was leverage there. There were things that could be done that did not need Mike Johnson's support.
No, listen, why are you steering the conversation towards something that neither you nor I are qualified to navigate? I don't know,
but I listen to people that are qualified to navigate.
You're doing the Vadim thing. You're doing the Vadim thing. Okay. I don't care if you listen to other people. I don't know these people. If you're not making the point, then why would we dwell on this topic?
So when so when you cover news or anything like that and an official from the administration comes forward and talks about something, that's not talking about some other journalist or author or whatever the case may be, or a YouTuber. I'm talking specifically about people inside the administration.
I have not read this article yet. I don't know. I'm not going to take you at face value. I would want to look into things, right? So there you go.
If anything, I hope maybe you do read it.
Okay.
Now, last thing, do you want to talk about your pinned video tweet?
Yes, I do.
Or are you getting sleepy?
No, I want nothing more than to talk about FDR for the fucking 50th time in the last 4 months.
No, not FDR specifically. Because one of my immediate takeaways from that is that you try to turn it so it's past Hutch and present Hutch, right? You try to immediately reframe. It's like you were rewatching it for the first time, which I thought was kind of wild. You try to immediately reframe it as it was only something that was exclusively like a time machine experiment. Like you're going to get in a DeLorean and then go back in time and tell all the segregationists to fuck off. When Kai in that moment is specifically saying 2025, would you do the following?
Kai?
You paused it. You sent out,
Who the fuck is Kai?
Prime Kai, the person you were talking to in that clip. Do you need to rewatch it?
Isn't it Prime Keys or what's his name?
Prime Kai.
Okay. What are you saying now?
So you start playing the video because you're reflexively watching Hasan watch everything at this point. Anytime Hasan talks about anything or whatever.
A lot of coverage this week. Strike while the iron is hot, as they say.
In fact, I would even say you're watching it more than I am, which is kind of wild.
I have only just begun, my friend. You do not know the depths of my obsession.
I have thoughts on that, but I don't want to derail. So you're watching Hasan watch this fucking clip, and you pause in the moment to try to proactively defend your take. And you're saying, yeah, if you would go back, you're going to go back and not get the New Deal, and you're not going to get these things. You're going to tell all the segregationists to F off and not get the New Deal stuff. And then you hit play, and he specifically says, I'm only worried about like 2025. In the year of our Lord, 2025, would you back segregationists? So you already, at the beginning of this thing, you're shooting yourself in the foot because you don't remember what you said, which I thought was amazing.
No. Ogreboy. Let me ask you a question.
That's not what happened?
Let me ask you a question, Ogreboy. Would you vote for a segregationist with a D next to his name in an R+ senatorial race, R+ 10 senatorial race, if it prevented the heat death of the universe?
At this point, we're not even having a serious conversation anymore.
Notice,
you want to talk about?
Notice how you guys will just refuse to engage with the hypothetical. I will answer the hypothetical. I will say yes.
In your own.
I will say
yes. But it's an answer that means nothing.
You just flop around like a fucking lunatic because you don't answer simple questions. Okay.
In the 11-minute clip that you posted, you talked about him asking you about segregationists in 2025 as a ridiculous hypothetical. So how is heat death of the fucking universe not a ridiculous hypothetical?
The point is that it is a ridiculous hypothetical. That's not the point I'm trying to make. The point is you still answer the question because it's a thought experiment meant to test your principles. That's the point of the thought experiment. It's okay if they're insane hypotheticals and completely realistic. Like, do you think that it makes sense for people to attack me with a clip of my answer to that question and then dishonestly frame it to suggest that I'm like trying to actively push for more segregationists in the party? Like, do you think that's wildly dishonest?
But when you nod your head and say, I'm not even kidding.
Answer that question. Do you think that's
the context of watching the clip? I don't necessarily think that's dishonest. They're taking what you're saying in the moment at face value.
So it's okay to just like take things. Hang on. Are you saying it's okay to like literally clip chimp people?
That's not clip chimping. You could watch that entire conversation. That's not a clip chimp.
That is the definition of clip chimping. You just said in the context of that clip. Yeah, I mean, it does look kind of weird, right? That's what you said, right? That segment. What,
dude, come on.
How do you not know what clip chimping is, by the way?
I know exactly what the fuck it is. That is literally the
definition of it. You're saying it makes sense in the context of the clip, but do you think that's an honest framing, or do you think people are
even Pisco disagreed with you? Pisco disagreed with you.
Great, we can talk about it.
He said that it would cause long-term. It would make it. He said it would cause long-term harm to the party because of embracing that sort of element into the party.
That's fine. That's him engaging in the conversation with me, testing the principle without dishonestly framing it as though I want to like court literal segregationists in 2025, which is what all these dishonest fucking losers are doing when they like spam my chat with clips of me saying I would, vote for Jeffrey Epstein with a D next to his name. The difference between you and me is that if somebody asks me a ridiculous hypothetical to test a harm reduction principle, I will answer the question fucking honestly. And when I turn around and I ask these same people, would you vote for Jeffrey Epstein to spare the destruction of Earth? All of them do the same thing, which is like, what a ridiculous hypothetical. Was it not ridiculous when I was asked if I would support Jeffrey Epstein to stop a fascist party from taking over the government? So that wasn't ridiculous. But me asking you if you would vote for Epstein to spare the Earth from an extinction level event, that's ridiculous. Like, how does that make sense, Ogreboy?
How does a vote like that actually block the extinction level event?
It doesn't matter. He's got a magic button that he presses. Only Jeffrey Epstein has the technology where he can shield the Earth in a force field from technology he stole from Wakanda.
Okay.
And he will only use that technology and enact the force field.
This is your opportunity.
If you vote for him in an election.
We can turn this into something constructive, something that they can clip this. That just look into the camera and say, even in the moments when I say I'm serious, I'm not even kidding, that they shouldn't actually take you at face value.
I will answer that question if you answer my question.
That's not a question. It's a statement. You can just make the statement.
Sure, I will make the statement, but I want you to answer the question. Don't bitch out. I want you to answer the question, okay? Would you
I'm waiting.
Vote for Jeffrey Epstein if you knew that it would stop an extinction level event on planet Earth?
Sure.
Clip it.
Yeah, clip it.
Clip it. Ogreboy just said he would vote for Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, Ogreboy wants Jeffrey Epstein to be the nominee. Did you guys hear this? Many people are talking about it. Everyone's saying. Did you guys see the clip of Ogreboy? He said he'd vote for Jeffrey Epstein. That's what you and all those idiot fucking Hasan pathetic orbiter micro creators are doing on Twitter.
Hold on. So
that's what you're all doing.
Hold on.
That's what you're all doing. That's what you're all doing.
Brother,
that's the equivalent. If I took that clip and I started spamming it everywhere and said, Ogreboy wants fucking Epstein, I'm not going to do it because I'm not a fucking child. That's the difference between me and these insane people that you think are just like harmless people.
Let me know when you're done.
I'm a grown up and I would never fucking do that. Go ahead.
Didn't the language about, because he was trying to pick the most right-wing example of what a Democrat, or just a right-wing example, period, to try to see, hey, what are you okay with existing inside the party? So he asks you that question in 2025, and you're like, yeah, I probably would.
The conversation,
at that point, we're not talking about the heat death of the universe or someone having a magic button that averts the imploding of the sun, or me suddenly getting a Kryptonian powers and flying around the earth backwards like children.
This one's less ridiculous, right? Like the idea that a segregationist would run as a Democrat. This is less ridiculous than Jeffrey Epstein using Wakanda energy to save the planet from an extinction level event.
A little less, yes.
How?
The idea of being able to find one in this day and age that has language that was maybe not as open and out and about as it was in.
And they would run as a Democrat.
1940. And
they would run as a Democrat.
Them running as a Democrat.
And then
yes,
and then that Democrat would win the primaries. That's not ridiculous.
The issue is, would you support them?
Hold on, Ogreboy. Is it or is it not ridiculous? This hypothetical where segregationists who haven't existed since the fucking like 80s or 90s. When did they give up on, repealing civil rights?
Do you think there's people? Hold on.
Do you think this hypothetical is ridiculous? Do you think
you'd be able to find a person like that? First of all,
the hypothetical that Prime Kai's presented to me was ridiculous.
Let's examine it.
Answer the question.
Do you think segregationists still exist? People that want to have a white ethno-state in America?
Yes, to a much, much smaller degree than used to exist. And they're all...
Well, that is socially acceptable to say, right?
How many of those people do you think are like voting for Democrats or could win a Democratic primary in any district or any state in the country?
Well, the first half of your question is way more salient than the other.
How so? What do you mean?
Any of these... So any of these right-wing Democrats that you would get on board with by virtue of like shit that Ezra Klein has said in the past, right? The idea being they wouldn't stay Democrats for very long. That's the issue.
Well, now you're just extending the hypothetical. I mean, that's fine. I mean, we can like unpack it or whatever.
The reason that he asked you this question was because this came on the tail end of all of the we need right wingers. We need to pick people that are more conservative. We need to pick people in the party to run in red districts, and you doubling down on it and saying, yes, I do believe that shit.
Okay. Let's revisit a question that I asked you earlier. Okay.
Okay.
Do you think the Republican Party in its current form is a nascent, growing fascist movement?
Sure.
All right. Let me ask you a follow-up question. If you were alive in 1932 for the German elections, and the KPD and the SPD, they actually did build a coalition, and if they calculated that if they...
I'm talking about now. I don't give a fuck about this question.
You're not understanding.
I'm talking about now, right now in 2026.
So am I.
I don't care about this.
Well, then what? Listen, don't call it a fascist movement.
You have the timeline.
Just stop calling it fascism.
You have the timeline wrong anyway.
Stop calling it fascism, because I don't think you actually believe it.
You have the timeline completely wrong. You're wanting to start with step 3. You are wanting to start with the last phase. You had the president, like you said, coming off of the Great Depression, springboarding off of a huge moment. So you had the president wanting to do something big and bold, some sort of materially life-changing economic policy. And in order to do that, he had to make arrangements with people that were already on the playing field. Your entire rhetoric for this entire Ezra Klein, purple candidate, red conservative person.
What difference does it make if they're already on the field versus like a new hypothetical segregation?
Because you're wanting to create them. You fucking... Oh, I don't even want to curse.
How could you possibly arrive at the conclusion?
No.
How could you possibly arise at the conclusion that I want to create a new segregationist movement? How unbelievably dishonest are you? Is it stupidity or is it just abject, shameless dishonesty? How could you possibly
why did you answer yes? Why did you answer yes?
The hypothetical was that this segregationist
with that fucking question, why did you say yes?
Because I would. Don't you fucking get it? I don't regret saying that.
There you go.
Yes, I would. I would do that. Yes. I'm the one who's saying that this is a nascent fascist movement. And when I say it, I mean that shit. I don't think that it is impossible for America to devolve into a situation with internment camps and fucking millions of deaths and fucking nuking other countries. I take that threat seriously. You don't. How could you, if you proposed to me that it would be better to allow a fascist party control of government than to allow one segregationist into the fucking Senate to give us majority?
Because you can't see 2 feet.
Seriously.
You can't see 2 feet,
bro.
You can't see 2 feet beyond your own fucking face, and that's the issue. And that's why I have a problem with this rhetoric from you.
No, I don't think you get to call them fascists anymore. because you don't mean it.
I'm talking about the course of what happens to the Democratic Party.
Fascism to you is just abstract. It's just an abstract concept. It's like vaguely bad in your mind, but you're not really thinking about what it actually looks like. You're not thinking about the fact that an American fascist state would eclipse Hitler. It would eclipse Nazi Germany. It would eclipse Italy and Mussolini and the fascist party there. It would be worse than all of that. Imagine Mussolini and Hitler with fucking nuclear weapons, okay? So what would you be willing to do to stop that from happening? Would you be willing to vote for someone who has views that you think are kind of odious?
Yeah, I would.
Would you vote for a racist? Would you vote for a pedophile? Would you vote for Jeffrey Epstein? That's what this conversation is about, okay?
So you would vote for... Do you... Okay, listen. I do appreciate where you're trying to come from this, but the practical aspects of it, I think you're overlooking. Do you not understand in the short term, you're getting W's. Let's say I agree to all that, right? In the short term, you're getting W's. You're getting
outcomes. Could you give me that would be better than an American fascist party with nuclear weapons? Like, what would be worse than that?
Do you not understand that over time you're going to have
turn
more
everybody
people,
in the country into like a pedophile cabal?
You're going to have people flee from the Democratic Party. How do you not see that?
And so it would be better to give a fascist party nuclear weapons?
How do you jump to the end of the story so easily when you don't understand the next steps that would happen?
You guys struggle with binary choices.
Hold on, pause. Walk me through this.
Really struggle with binary choices.
Hold on.
Yes, you are.
I'm a dumbass. So I need you to walk me through this, okay? I want you to tell me why I'm wrong. I will tell you something and then you tell me why it doesn't work. Is that fair?
Here's why you're wrong. I would never in 1,000 years empower a movement that I thought was an actual fascist movement. I would never, ever in 1,000 years, ever entertain the possibility of giving them power. And any kind of compromise that I might be willing to make in terms of voting for a candidate that might have views that I find to be like odious or just like really awful and immoral or wrong, that compromise is obviously preferable to giving a fascist party access to
what do you think happens to
nuclear
normies?
Weapons.
Hold on. Here. Look. Breathe. First of all, no, because I don't want you to get pissed off and hang up.
Don't browbeat me about like, what do you think the normies, you're like, here, I'm going to say it for you, right? You're going to be like, what do you think the normies are going to say when they hear you say that? I have a couple
more questions before you rage quit out of this. I'm not the one who's bringing Jeffrey
Epstein into this. Like, I'm not the one bringing him up. I'm not the one bringing up hypothetical segregationists and then doing pathetic virtue signaling.
But you agreed that you would, right?
To stop a fascist movement from taking over the government and having
access
to nuclear weapons. What do you think happens to the
Democratic Party after that happens?
What do you think happens to the world if you give a fascist party nuclear weapons?
So we're one vote away from fascists nuking the entire planet?
Bro.
Are we? Yes or no?
This is not my problem.
Yes or no?
This is not my problem that you cannot wrap your head around like a very basic concept.
Are we one election cycle away from having a fascist party nuking other countries?
Listen to me. Here's how I look at it.
Come on. You're almost.
Listen. Here's how I look at it. We have to, if we make any kind of short-term compromises, then challenges will arise. I mean, we can use more realistic examples. We don't need to go to Epstein and fucking segregationists. We can do like a super anti-immigration, pro-gun, but
like 11-minute
but economically left candidate hypothetically running in a state like Nebraska. You're getting hung up on the examples, and it's not the point.
Defending segregationists.
Not the point.
Didn't you go on to talk about the Southern strategy?
Hold on. Back up. You said I defended what?
You defended the collabing with segregationists.
No,
that was the point of your video.
No, a moment ago you just said I defended segregationists.
You called them those racist shits with a grin on your face. And you looked down at your lap.
What does that mean?
You looked down at your lap with remorse, talking about the political power that we lost when they were stolen from the party.
What do you think that means? You think that I support segregationists?
You'd support having racists in the party, no? Because when you talk about that they were stolen from you with remorse when you're staring down at your lap instead of into the camera,
what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Are you literally saying that I secretly, not so secretly, like segregationists? Do we need to watch
the video?
I want you to answer. No, be honest.
Come on, share your desktop.
No, hold on. Be honest.
Share your desktop.
Be honest. Are you saying that I secretly or not so secretly actually like segregationists?
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. What do you mean?
You missed them. You missed the idea that the power that was lost from the party, and you want to restore that by accepting racists back into the party.
What are you What? I did not bring up segregationists. I did not bring up this hypothetical. I brought up like running a pro-life candidate in like Missouri because I was repeating what Ezra Klein said.
Yes, but you watched Hasan. You watched Hasan watch it back.
Prime was the one who introduced segregationists as a part of this like pathetic virtue signaling
and
gotcha.
When someone put that clip in front, that segment in front of Hasan, you turned it into 11 minutes worth of content to talk about how they were so important.
Who cares? Why are we talking about Hasan?
Keeping power inside the party.
Who cares? You just said a moment ago you would vote for Jeffrey Epstein, you fucking pedophile piece of shit. Do your neighbors know that you're a fucking pedophile that would vote for Jeffrey Epstein for president? Do they know? Have you told them? Are you a registered sex offender? Because that's fucking disgusting.
Why don't you want to address
you just
your
said,
video?
I'll roll the clip. You just said a few minutes ago that you would vote for Jeffrey Epstein. Did you not?
Well,
yes or no?
That or the
yes
heat death
or no?
of the universe,
yes
right?
Or no? Yes or no?
Would you vote? I wanted to prevent the heat death of the universe.
No, I don't want a longer explanation. Yes or no?
Heat death of the universe is bad.
Would you vote for Jeffrey Epstein?
Bad things.
But
I wanted to vote against
really,
the
so
heat
you
death of the
understand the
universe.
concept in the context of a heat death of the universe, but you don't understand the concept of giving a fascist power nuclear weapons. And you don't think that that's bad.
Is that going to happen after one election cycle?
You are fucking.
The concept is it's not going to happen after one election cycle.
Chat,
but
they told me that you were worse than
aspects.
Vadim, and I honestly didn't believe them. But you might be dumber than Vadim.
Come on,
I don't think that you are capable.
Man.
No, you are not capable of like getting past your mind rot. The fact
Towards
that you would ever consider
the
fact that you would ever consider that
I'm addressing your work.
You just said a little bit ago. No, you're not though. You're coming up with your own narratives. Like you just said a moment ago that I'm defending.
I'm trying to quote almost literally what you ended up saying.
It is not accurate that I said that the Democratic
Party. Do you
Party,
not talk about?
It is not.
Do you
accurate.
not talk about at the end of that clip?
Is it or is it not
about
accurate?
The loss of power that the Democratic Party had, and while you're doing it, you're staring down at your lap.
What is it? What do you think that meant? What do you think that means?
That you lament that lack of power.
That what lack
so
of
much
power?
So
what do you mean? What do you mean?
You were talking about the lack of power that came from having racist pieces of shit swap over to the Republican side. People that by and large stabbed the Democratic Party in the fucking back.
Do you lament?
You want to recreate that?
Do you lament the fact that the Democratic Party doesn't have like an 85 seat majority? I'm not saying anything about races. Like leave the racists out of it. But do you lament the fact that the Democratic Party...
You left the racists in it.
Wait, why don't you answer that question?
With your content.
Why don't you answer that question? Do you lament the fact that it's really hard to imagine Democrats ever getting back to like 75 or 80 seats?
Yes, but the reason that me and you would lament that
piece of shit,
fucking completely different.
You fucking racist piece of shit.
I don't blame.
So you want to go back to the
segregationists? The Southern strategy.
Do you want to go back to segregation? Is that what you're saying? You fucking racist piece of shit, Epstein supporter.
I haven't ever had to lean on racists or Epstein.
We have you in 4K on camera.
We
have you in 4K on camera right now saying that you miss segregationists. That's what you just said, essentially, right? You know?
That's already your clip. That's literally your clip.
Said it. You just said it. We have you in 4K, bro. We know that you want the racists back.
It's still on your fucking timeline on Twitter, you jackass.
We know that you want the racists back, and we have you on video now. Just so you know, you're caught.
At the end of your video,
the internet is forever.
Do you not?
The internet is forever.
What are you doing right now?
I'm letting you know that we have
you
in
have
4K
to give that commentary,
saying that you
man.
want, bro. But this is what you don't. Are you following what I'm doing? I am doing to you what you're doing to me, but you're too dumb to understand it.
Except mine actually has substance, brother.
Substance. What does that mean? What does that mean? You say, oh, it's ridiculous to say that the heat death of the universe could be spared if you voted for Jeffrey Epstein, but it's not ridiculous to say that a segregationist could run as a Democrat and win a primary. That's not ridiculous.
Look into the camera and just say that when you say I'm not even joking around, I'm very serious, that no one should listen to you.
4K.
Come on.
You said you would vote for Jeffrey Epstein. You said you would vote for Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh my God.
We got you in 4K, bro.
Are you sure? You so do.
It's true.
All right. Are we done? because you're not engaging with anything anymore. So
yeah, we're done. Oh my God, you guys. So the people who said that he was dumber than Vadim, I did kind of question that. I'm not gonna lie, I did kind of question that. I was like, there's no way. There's no way, because the Vadim situation was like, but here's why I think you're right though. Like Vadim, I think like he says that there was something that happened and it affects how he can collect his thoughts, and I think like there's like that kind of limitation going on. I think Ogreboy is like dumber for sure. That's crazy. That's great. And like, how much mind rot do you have to like have for like online tribal politics to get to a point where you legitimately think that it's possible that I like want to return to segregationism? Like that is, how could you ever get to that point based on anything that I ever said? Like if you saw my family, my immediate family, you would understand how fucking absurd this is. My immediate family is my racist grandma's worst fucking nightmare, okay? She was spared the pain of a multiracial family when she had a stroke and passed away in the early 2000s, so she didn't see where this story went, but boy, if she was alive today, my goodness. My grandma, if she would have asked that question about segregation, holy shit, Jesus fucking Christ, you guys. It happened like 5 or 6 times where people were coming at my mentions and spamming the Epstein clip. And then I would ask them, like, would you vote for Epstein to like spare the heat death of the universe? And they'd be like, come on, bro, that's a ridiculous question. But it wasn't ridiculous to ask me if a dead person should run for president in 2028. That wasn't ridiculous. Holy shit. What was that discourse that happened like a couple years ago where people were talking about how like it's actually a strong indicator of IQ whether or not people can honestly engage in hypotheticals? It's like, what did you have for breakfast this morning kind of a situation?
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey man, what's up?
Hey, I don't know. I feel like maybe you're not getting this. And do you remember when there was that super chat in Live and Learn? It was from Ben Riley, and he said like, you're doing this kind of trolley problem, greedy algorithm thing. Do you remember that?
Nope.
Okay, well, basically, because I didn't know exactly what he meant at the time, but I kind of see what he's getting at here, where, okay, and just to be clear, I agree with you on this point, so please, I'm not like in here trying to like defend Ogreboy's position, but just that I don't think you addressed fully this concept, which is, yes, of course, harm reduction, like if it's Hitler versus Hitler, but I'm going to kill 3 million fewer Jews, like which one do you pick? Obviously the one who's going to kill fewer Jews. But if you look at like the absurdist like segregationist argument, the, you know, absurdist double Hitler argument, the idea is what happens when you elect this person 4 years from now, 8 years from now. And so like the Hasan doom pill that I disagree with, just to be clear, but what he's saying is not, I don't agree with harm reduction. It's, if you elect Gavin Newsom 4 years from now, you're going to get even worse fascists. If you elect, you know, Hitler, but 3 million fewer Jews are dead, you're going to get far worse fascism down the road.
Yeah, but that's a nonsense argument. I'm sorry, but
I agree.
It is nonsense. It is nonsense because like, here's how you unpack that, right? Like if you make compromises, extreme compromises even, and this is why I always bring up FDR, because that coalition did make extreme consequences, like consequences that cannot be fathomed by the modern American mind. But yeah, if you make that decision to do that, then you take those problems that arise from that compromise, you just take things one day at a time. Like you try to just unpack these things and address these things and mitigate harm as best as you can as you go. But ... the alternative is giving a fascist party nuclear weapons.
Right, no, so I agree with you.
How could that ever be like something that you consider as a possibility? It's just, it should be a total non-starter, right? Well,
so I don't think it's a crazy argument. It's an argument I disagree with. Again, so this is me steelmanning them. But the idea is that, hey, when you allow, let's say, segregationists, or let's take a very easy to understand hypothetical that is like, yes, in the binary short term, there's clearly a harm reduction, but like, what is the consequence in this hypothetical? If you elected, let's say we compromised to get a Senate majority and defeat Trump with people that said, hey, I won't do anything fascist in the next 4 years. However, in 2032, I'm going to go full fash. this is obviously better than electing Trump, who is going full fash right now, right?
Yeah.
Like this is an easy hypothetical. However, what you're doing is this greedy algorithm trolley problem where it's like, okay, sure, but how many short-term trolley problems can we go through where at the end of this, it turns out we're going to end up in a very bad situation regardless. And this is the whole black pill argument to it. Like,
is. Yes.
Right. It's like, it doesn't matter who I vote for because in the short term, it will be better. I don't think, well, don't get me wrong. Some of these people obviously are like, well, it would be the same in Gaza. They're stupid. But the idea to them is like, we're never going to get good things.
No, I understand.
Right. So I just don't think you're addressing that when you talk to these people. You're just kind of focusing on the like harm reduction thing. I don't even think any of the, I mean, don't get me wrong. The other people who are coming at you and saying Hutch would vote for a segregationist, they are strawmanning you. That's ridiculous. But what they're saying is if you're letting segregationists into the party, what short-term win is worth it in the long run if those segregationists are now like going to control like power and shift the conversation towards segregation? I don't think, again,
that's a risk. That's a risk, right? That's a risk, right? That's a risk, and the risk would be maybe that person catches fire. Maybe by giving them a platform and elevating them to the Senate, they could build a new kind of segregationist movement in the country. That is a risk, 100%.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Is the alternative.
The alternative is like American Hitler. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. No, right? I agree.
So that's a risk that you should take, right?
Yes. Again, I'm on your side on this. But what I'm saying is like, you're not moving ever past the harm reduction with these people. And I don't think Ogreboy's being stupid here. I mean, I think his argument's stupid, but it's not that he can't understand. Like, obviously.
He is obtuse. He is obtuse. Okay.
He can't, the fact that he has the argument that he does, yes, I agree, but not in the way that you're portraying it, right? Like Ogreboy wanting to vote for Jeffrey Epstein to stop the heat death of the universe is like not. It contradicts the people coming at you with the straw man of like, oh, look, he'd elect a pedophile. But it's like, what did I say on Live and Learn? I said like, yeah, if Joe Biden came to my house and my whole family, I'd still vote for him because I can put aside my personal grievances for the idea that this will be better for the country, right? Like the Jeffrey Epstein argument is just to attack you. But what Ogreboy is saying is, yeah, sure, I could vote for Jeffrey Epstein to stop the heat death of the universe. Harm reduction makes sense to these people. Hasan understands harm reduction, but then you move forward in the argument. It's like, what happens when Jeffrey Epstein is the leader of the party? What does that enable for the next election? So they're just trapped in this like doom-pilled, like nothing will ever get better area. And I think you need to address that a lot more than the harm reduction thing. Because the harm reduction thing, I think you're both talking past each other. Everyone understands this concept, except for the people strawmanning you.
I understand. I agree with you. Like, but the way that they construct a kind of logic to avoid the responsibility of honestly engaging in the trolley problem is they construct it with just complete fabricated nonsense. So in the case of Hasan, he says, well, if it's between Newsom and Vance, well, it's just over at that point. Well, that's pretty broad. What does that mean? And then, he does follow-up streams the next day and kind of expands on his logic. And what's he saying about Newsom? It's just nonsense. Like he vetoed single payer. He would murder a trans person if he thought it would net him more votes. They come up with the most wild, truly insane, truly deranged, truly unhinged claims. Yeah. And then every idiot in that space just starts repeating those claims. And then it's like a self-reinforcing, insane, delusional belief system based on nothing. And
you're preaching to the choir again. They're mutually exclusive, right? Because his argument would be consistent if he said, "Hey, I think that Gavin Newsom, will be better in the short term," which he doesn't say. But if he said that, but then said, "But in the long run, this is going to lead to another Trump, and we're never going to get towards the progressive, actual good politics that I want," that would be fine. But he doesn't say that because he says, "Hey, Gavin Newsom is just as bad. Gavin Newsom is just as bad as trans people stuff, on healthcare and all this stuff, and it would lead to these things." Yeah, that's why I think this argument's retarded.
Here's where we disagree, though. Okay, because I think you're treating that logic like it's good faith logic, and it's not. When Hasan says, by the time we get to 2028 and it's Vance versus Newsom, it's all over, bro. It's all over, bro. That's it. That's over. It's done. What he's actually doing in that moment is avoiding accountability for helping Vance win. That's what that is. He's treating this slide into fascism as though it's some neutral event that is happening independent of anyone's influence. But that's not what's happening. By saying that he would vote third party in 2028, he is influencing the election in favor of Vance. And in an effort to avoid that obvious, inescapable math, he constructs this new thing where it's like, well, at that point, it's just over. It's just a way for them to deflect any responsibility to make moral decisions when they're voting.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
I just think telling them they don't understand harm reduction is frustrating to watch when, like, I don't think they don't get that. You should be pointing out more that they're making mutually exclusive arguments and being inconsistent. Or what you're saying, which is doing bad faith and abdicating responsibility, which you do say, but like just focusing on so you don't get that. You're talking to two parties. You're talking to the people that are trying to strawman you with the like segregationist clips, and then you're also talking to the people who are like, I think this is going to be worse. I think Ogreboy is one of the people that is good faith about it and wrong. Whereas I think, Hasan or anyone clipping you and trying to be like, you support segregation is like bad faith and wrong, which is the double whammy. So
I don't know how you could say that about Ogreboy. He literally said that I was defending segregationists. He's either stupid or he's dishonest. He's either unfathomably stupid or he's dishonest.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know if Ogreboy is actually good faith, considering he says, what did he say on our podcast? Like, I'm not a Hasan simp, but does he literally have a Hasan tattoo? Like, I don't know how you can say those.
I've never seen it, but apparently he does. Yeah. I don't listen. I'm not going to judge people for shitty tattoos because I've got some questionable ones on my body. Okay. That I got when I was younger. So
yeah. Okay. Well, last thing is I made you like a 12-second clip while I was watching this. I texted it to you. It's a Google Drive link. You can watch it on stream. But otherwise,
okay. Wait, hold on.
See on. Oh, you want to watch it on here?
Is it TOS safe?
Yeah, it's fine.
I gave seminars on manipulation. I could reach into a man's soul and unravel it with one tug.
Cool. Hit me.
You're bald.
So are you.
I'll kill you, Come here.
Oh my God. How did you... Were you a community watcher? Is that what happened?
Huh? Oh, yeah. That was my pandemic show.
Okay. I've never watched that show.
Oh, you should. It's really great.
All right. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. We got a good guest tomorrow, too.
Yes, sir. I reached out to Mr. Crenshaw as well. Not eye patch Crenshaw, Black Crenshaw, but he hasn't responded yet. So
okay. Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Cheers. Take it easy, buddy. Bye-bye.